Stuff's everywhere. Hey, welcome back to the channel. I'm Jeremy from Long Speed Marine. We're going to be working on the Mercury again. Last video you saw me put the motor in there, get the motor mounts done. Today we're going to be working on finishing out the tunnel throughout the center of the car. So tag along and see how we make out. All right, I got to lift this thing up. So with this thing being facing this direction, so it's easier for me to get the motor in and out, it's really hard. This is an asymmetrical two-post hoist, which means that the car doesn't sit centered in it, which I actually kind of like when the car is forward because you can open and close the doors better. When it's backwards like this, it's impossible. You can't open the doors. So I got to pull it forward a little bit, and what I'm going to do is actually just set it up on jack stands so that I can get the engine hoist in and out easier. It's a little bit higher for me getting in and out, so it'll be easier to crawl in and out, because right now it's laid out on the bags. The bags are pretty much all the way down. I've got a jack under the front, which is stuck. So I'm just going to get this thing up, sitting on jack stands, so it's a little bit easier for me to work around on the car. So that's what we're doing at the moment. So this is the heater unit that I picked up to run in the car. It is a heat and air conditioning unit, self-contained, obviously. So I don't, you have to hook up AC side to it. I'm gonna need, I guess, a dryer and condenser and whatever. So, but it's just the main box that goes inside the car. So I'm gonna try and fit this up in there just to see where it goes, so I don't run into it with the tunnel or run into any issues. But it looks like, it's a pretty nice compact little unit, and it should work well for us. So here's the little unit. I'm assuming that this way is up. Yeah, that looks like up. It doesn't say up. It does have instructions with it. So it's got your AC ports here on this side, and heater ports on this side. So there's a little heater core inside there, an AC condenser. Your controls. The controls are nice and small. I may have to extend these wires out, but temp, high, low, and your fan control, 1, 2, 3. So nice, decent little unit. And I should be able to put these controls into the dash somewhere nicely. If I can hold them up so you can see them a little bit nicer. They're nice little controls. Obviously the knobs are nothing special, so I can put different knobs on these. And so that should work good. So let's see how it fits up inside the car. I was a bit wrong with which direction this goes because the drains are actually on the bottom. So this curved part goes towards the bottom. And let's see if I can sneak this up. Oh, yeah, that's not gonna work. I don't really care if I lose the glove box, but I could bump this firewall. No, I can't because I'm into the cylinder head. I mount it on an angle like that. I guess I could. I guess I could mount it straight up and down, but then Well, maybe. Yeah, why can't I do that? I'll have tons of room for hoses to come off. It'll hang down a little bit, but I mean, so what? I can hide it behind the console over here. That should probably work, actually. Yeah, why won't that work? Anybody know why it won't work if I mount it up like that? I don't think so. I mean, the drains are down. Maybe that's how it's supposed to be mounted. I haven't looked at the instructions because, you know, who looks at instructions? So I think that'll work. I could even turn it around the other way. Maybe that's the way it's supposed to go. Huh. Okay, well that'll work anyway, so that's fine. So no matter what I do really with that tunnel, I can get this in there one way or another. That's all I wanted to see, so good. I'm happy about that. Oh, got this bracing on this side, it's a little hard to get around. But. So this is just heavy duty sort of paper cardboard. It's a little bit stronger than Bristol board. It's actually used to put between skids, and I get it from Uline. I just order it up. It's a bit expensive. You get a ton of it, but I mean, we're going to go through it, and pretty much one order will last you quite a long time. So that's what I'm using here to do my patterns. I'm just going to try and sneak this up in here. Oh, I've got to get rid of this. Huh. Actually, I got to get this out of my way. So those air lines were just done temporarily so that I could put air in it to get it to a couple shows, because I trailered this to a couple shows where basically we were showing off, you know, a car under construction. So those are out of the way, and I've got my fuel lines coming down here, which won't come down here actually once the car is done. So I will just use these kind of as a reference not to hit these, because then I know I'll have decent clearance around my tunnel, but I do want it tucked up a little bit better. Got my shifter thing. Maybe I can just tuck these in like this. That'll be all right. That tab's got to come off, so I've got, yeah. Okay, let's see here. Let's get to my firewall. Now these firewalls are pretty goofy. I know you guys probably can't see it on the camera there, but what happens is they come down like this and actually go out towards the motor and then back, which is good in a way. It gives you a little bit extra foot clearance in the wells here, but it's bad for making these tunnel pieces because it's kind of a pain because you got so many different angles. It'd be nicer if you could just come down and come down straight. So I'm struggling with that a little bit of how I'm going to make that hoop-de-dooley, but we'll figure that out maybe after. My main thing is just to get the shape of this tunnel. Okay, so now that I've got my pattern done, I've got some, they all fell on the floor. I got some TIG rod bent up somewhat to the shape. So this I can actually flatten these back out And this will also give me the shape that I need. Once I flatten these all back out, it will give me the curve that I need, which is good. And so then we'll be able to pattern this thing up. But the first thing I need to do is, in the center of the car, there's the X frame, and I need to basically make my support now that I cut that X frame out. So that's what I've got to do now. I've got to make that X frame, so I've got to pull the front clip of the car off, pull the motor back out, and get to making that X frame up. Okay, front clip is off, motor's obviously out, so now we're ready to start building out. I've cleaned off and ground up all of this frame section here, so we're ready to go and start building out this centerpiece to put the X back in. So basically, if I can find my piece right here, I'm going to line this up. This is basically my control piece, if you will, and then everything else will be built off of the level of this because this is the right level that I checked before I pulled the motor and tranny. So I'm just going to get this in here and tack this into place, and we'll go from there. Okay, so now I'll level off everything else off of that piece. Okay, so now I've got those in place, and I'll just figure out what I'm doing now for a top plate. Oh look, there's my top plate. That'll work fine. Doesn't matter that it's a little bit wider in the front. I'll just weld that up, and that'll be good. It's actually better that it's wider in the front. So I'll just square this up a little bit, and then I'll cut this plate off, because it definitely does not need to be that long. Okay. Okay, I'll mark this up, cut it up, and away we go. Okay, cut this now. I'm stuck. How do I get out of here? Oh, there we go. Okay. Now, what are we doing? Okay, now that is solid. So there's my frame support done. When I pull this back out, what I'll do is I'll go in and just fill these other sections in once I get the body back off, and I'll make that look pretty in there. But that is definitely, I mean, that's not going anywhere. All right, success. Now we can try and bend up some of this tunnel. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clean all this up and get this ready for stuff to be welded. And yeah, then we'll get going on the rest of this tunnel here. Fun times. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Change the plans. I'm going to use this original tunnel section and basically just build off of it to the floor. So around the transmission here, I won't exactly fit, so I'll just basically come off of this piece down to the side there around the transmission. But I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to use this, as much of this original piece as I can, and not make the whole tunnel completely rounded. And so we'll try and get this piece done, get this trimmed away. And at the very least, if I trim it all away and decide I don't like it, at least I have more of a template. I'll just use this as my template, because this all works all around here. It's just a matter of building off to the sides down to the floor. So that's what I'm going to do right now. We're going to trim all these sides off and get to it. Okay, so there's the sides cut out. And now what I'll do is I'm just going to make a template basically from the side of the floor cut out up to that center tunnel piece. So let's get doing that. Now here's one of those body mounts that would go in the center here. So basically I'm going to set this up on that so that it's more realistic in terms of a height. Okay, now let's get patterning. All right, so I've got this piece roughly cut and just a tiny bit of bend in it to follow this floor. So I've got to trim this up a little bit more and put a little bit of a bend in here. But what I'm going to do first is put this in the English wheel, run it through a couple times, and try to get it so that there's a slight curve that way. And we'll see how that goes. So wish me luck. All right, so this is just a cheapy Harbor Freight Princess Auto English wheel. And basically all I want to do is put a curve in it this way. So I've got the die in here that's just a slight curve. I'm going to raise this up just slightly, lock that in. So I'm going to run through the center of the panel first. Well, maybe I'll go a little bit off. A little bit more pressure there. Okay. There we go. That's a little better. Okay. Let's put the curve in there that I was hoping for. Let's put a little bit of shape in that panel, and I'll try to hopefully get this to come back around a little bit more once I get in the car here. A little bit too much, actually. Part of the problem is there's a bit of a hump here, so I may end up cutting that portion out. See, there's a hump in this part, but all the rest of this lines up pretty good. If I didn't have that hump, I may cut that part out. There we go. Okay. So there's that side of the tunnel done. And then I had to cut off my piece from the front. So this piece that I made for going up here, I had to cut off because it was just too much. I better deburr this. Wherever my, there it is. So here, this is a deburring tool. I don't know, everybody uses these, should know about them if you're doing metal work. But they're really good. It's just, and they're cheap. This is from Princess Auto. Harbor Freight, same idea. Comes with a bunch of blades. Come on. There we go. Okay, so now this piece I had to trim up, but that's okay because this is what we're going to do here, like that. And I'll bend the top of that piece over. So I'm just going to make a mark of this. All right, so here's where we made out. Unfortunately, my light died, so it's a little bit darker in here. But I got this piece bent up and made the way I want. I'm going to end up cutting it about here, taper it back, like I said. These pieces are in. Well, that piece is ready to be shaped a little bit better, and then I just need to make the rest of it. But what I was just doing was making up this patch piece here, because this is kind of a bunch of weird angles and notches and whatever. So I just made that piece up as best I could, so now I can build off of that to here. Okay, so that's where we ended up here, making that side off. This is going to take a couple parts here to get this tunnel complete because it's a lot of hours and a lot of finicky stuff. So that's where we left off now. In the next video, I'll be working on the driver's side and narrowing up the rest of the tunnel. So that's what you're going to see in part 2. But hey, thanks for tagging along with this one. Thanks for subscribing and liking all my videos. Follow along with all my other builds. Make sure you hit that subscribe so you get the notifications, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks very much and take care. Man, that was a lot of work.